Imagine living in a world where the very idea of goodness, morality, and society itself is questioned, where what you thought you knew about human nature is turned upside down. This is the world Nietzsche wanted us to confront. At the core of his philosophy lies an idea so dangerous, so controversial, that it challenges everything we believe about life, strength, and survival. Nietzsche wasn't just a philosopher in the traditional sense. He was a radical provocateur, a thinker who believed in dismantling the conventional, the comfortable, and the safe. His most dangerous idea, the one that has the power to shake the very foundation of your understanding, revolves around a single concept: the rejection of traditional morality. This is not just a critique of societal values. It's an invitation to rethink the entire framework by which we live our lives. But why is this so dangerous? Why should we be wary of it? Because Nietzsche's philosophy is not a passive call to think differently. It's a call to act, to change, to live differently. It demands more than intellectual acknowledgement. It demands a fundamental shift in the way we live, think, and relate to the world around us. The consequences of embracing Nietzsche's most dangerous idea are profound. They require courage, they require transformation, and they may even require rebellion against everything you've ever known. So, what is this dangerous idea that Nietzsche believed could change the course of history? It begins with one simple, unsettling question. What if everything you've been told about what's good and moral is not actually leading you toward greatness, but instead is holding you back from it? What if your very concept of what it means to be a good person is a trap? A system designed to keep you small, weak, and limited. Nietzsche's most dangerous idea is the possibility that society has conditioned you to live in a state of weakness, and that true power lies in rejecting this conditioning. Let that sink in for a moment. Nietzsche believed that society, religion, and culture were not sources of strength or morality, but chains that prevented human beings from reaching their full potential. This was the challenge he issued to the world. Will you break free from the chains of conventional morality? Will you choose strength over comfort? Or will you remain enslaved to a system that discourages greatness? As we explore this idea further, remember, this is not just a philosophical debate. It's a call to action. It's a demand for a transformation that could change everything. How you see yourself, how you relate to others, and how you approach life itself. Let's keep going, because the deeper we go into Nietzsche's most dangerous idea, the more we uncover about what it truly means to be free, and to live a life that is not constrained by the values and expectations of the world around us. To understand why Nietzsche's idea is so dangerous, we must first explore the heart of his critique: weakness. For Nietzsche, weakness wasn't simply a physical state, nor was it just about external hardships. Weakness, as he saw it, was a mindset, a surrender to mediocrity. It's a refusal to face life's struggles head-on, a tendency to accept the status quo, to conform to the expectations of society, and to avoid the discomfort of real personal growth. Nietzsche saw the values we hold dear, compassion, humility, kindness, as not virtues, but symptoms of weakness. These values, he argued, were born out of a sense of resentment, a desire to create a moral framework that protected the weak from the strong. It's a mindset that elevates meekness and self-sacrifice as noble ideals while condemning ambition, strength, and self-assertion as dangerous or immoral. What if these values aren't actually guiding us toward a better world? What if they're a tool for keeping us trapped in a cycle of weakness, where the most powerful forces in society, religion, politics, culture, have no interest in our greatness, but only in maintaining their control? Nietzsche believed that society, in its efforts to protect and shield individuals from the harsh realities of existence, was actually nurturing weakness by glorifying traits that held people back from realizing their true potential. Take a moment and think about it. How often do we celebrate the victim over the victor? How often is the successful, driven individual framed as selfish or arrogant? In contrast, how often is the person who chooses mediocrity, who conforms and plays it safe, rewarded with social acceptance and praise? For Nietzsche, this was the essence of slave morality, a moral system constructed by the weak to hold down the strong. It's a morality that encourages people to remain passive, to shrink back from challenges, to prioritize security and safety over risk and potential. Nietzsche saw this as not just dangerous, but as a fundamental betrayal of human potential. But why would anyone accept this? Why would society embrace such a paralyzing way of living? The answer is simple: because it's easier. Embracing weakness means avoiding confrontation with the chaos of existence. It means choosing comfort over change, conformity over creativity, and security over greatness. Nietzsche's challenge is not to ignore this reality, but to confront it head-on and reject it. If society's moral framework encourages us to be weak, then Nietzsche argues, we have to ask ourselves, are we willing to accept the trap? Or are we willing to step out of it, to challenge what we've been taught, and to live according to a higher standard? One that doesn't just accept life as it is, but actively seeks to shape it, to create something new and extraordinary. Nietzsche believed that this journey wasn't just about rejecting external societal pressures. It was about confronting the weakness within ourselves, the parts of us that cling to comfort, to fear, to self-doubt. The process of rejecting this internal weakness is what Nietzsche called self-overcoming. It's not about escaping the world's problems. It's about embracing them and using them to fuel your own growth. As we continue, consider this. How often do we allow weakness, fear, doubt, comfort, to dictate our choices in life? Nietzsche's message is clear. To rise above weakness is to embrace the struggle, to face the chaos, and to transcend the comfort of mediocrity. And if you dare to walk this path, you'll begin to understand the true power of Nietzsche's most dangerous idea. At the core of Nietzsche's philosophy is the will to power, the driving force behind all human achievement. But this isn't just about domination or control over others. It's about the power to create, the power to shape your own life, to impose meaning on an otherwise indifferent universe, and to overcome the limitations that society and culture place on us. This concept is the antidote to weakness, and it lies at the heart of Nietzsche's critique of contemporary moral systems. The will to power is about more than personal ambition. It's about an internal drive to reach your fullest potential, to engage with the raw materials of existence and shape them into something extraordinary. Nietzsche believed that life itself is a struggle, a constant tension between chaos and order, destruction and creation. The greatest individuals are those who embrace this struggle, not as something to avoid, but as something to embrace. Consider for a moment, what makes the truly great stand apart from the rest? It's not simply their success or talent. It's their ability to endure hardship, to navigate chaos, and to forge meaning where others see only destruction. Nietzsche argued that the will to power isn't about finding easy answers or solutions. It's about creating your own path through the chaos, transforming adversity into something new and meaningful. But there's a catch. Nietzsche understood that in order to realize this power, we must first confront the weaknesses within ourselves. We must reject the pull of comfort and mediocrity, the temptation to conform to societal expectations, and the ease of living a life dictated by the values of others. The will to power demands that we face our fears, our doubts, and our limitations, and use them as stepping stones to greater heights. It's a radical form of self-mastery that requires constant vigilance and strength. Nietzsche's challenge is clear. Will you embrace the struggle? Will you stand firm in the face of adversity and shape your own life, rather than let the world around you shape you? For Nietzsche, the most dangerous idea is not simply the rejection of societal norms. It's the refusal to surrender to mediocrity, to take responsibility for our own growth, and to fully embrace our potential as creators of meaning. The will to power is not just a concept. It is an invitation to step out of the shadows and live a life that is authentic, intense, and full of purpose. Imagine the possibilities if we all lived according to this principle. What if, instead of settling for what life gives us, we sought to create something greater? What if, instead of letting fear and doubt dictate our choices, we embraced them as fuel for our growth? Nietzsche's idea isn't just a call to greatness, it's a call to action, to take the raw material of life and forge something extraordinary from it. But the path to greatness is not easy. It requires confronting the inherent chaos of existence, rejecting the comfort of the herd, and embracing the tension between destruction and creation. It's a path that demands courage, strength, and the will to power, the very essence of Nietzsche's dangerous idea. As we delve deeper into Nietzsche's philosophy, we encounter his concept of the Übermensch, often translated as the Overman or Superman. This figure represents the ideal human being, someone who transcends traditional morality and creates their own values. For Nietzsche, the Übermensch is the pinnacle of human potential, the embodiment of strength, individuality, and self-overcoming. The Übermensch is the ultimate rejection of weakness. This person doesn't live according to the norms set by society, religion, or tradition. They do not seek approval from others or strive for acceptance. Instead, they embrace their individuality and shape their own path, creating meaning in a world that offers none inherently. To Nietzsche, The Übermensch represents the freedom to define your own existence, regardless of societal expectations. But why is this ideal so rare? Nietzsche believed that society actively suppresses the development of the Übermensch. Through systems of control, whether political, religious, or cultural, society encourages conformity and mediocrity. Think about how we are often taught to prioritize stability, security, and following the rules over questioning authority, taking risks, or creating new paths. The pressure to fit in, to comply with what others expect of us, is immense. Society, in its pursuit of order and predictability, often stifles the very qualities that lead to greatness. The tragedy, according to Nietzsche, is that most people conform to these systems without ever questioning them. They become what he called the herd, a mass of individuals who reject their potential for greatness in exchange for comfort and certainty. The herd is content to follow the prescribed norms of society, whether it's the values of religion, the rules of the workplace, or the expectations of the media. But the Übermensch stands in stark contrast to this herd mentality. To become the Übermensch is to break free from the chains of conformity. It's about embracing chaos, uncertainty, and discomfort in order to forge a life of personal meaning and strength. Nietzsche saw this as the ultimate act of rebellion against the forces that stifle individuality and greatness. But this rebellion is not for the faint of heart. It requires immense courage, resilience, and a willingness to embrace the struggle that comes with standing apart from the crowd. Nietzsche challenges us to reflect on the ways we are conditioned by society to accept mediocrity, to avoid discomfort, and to choose safety over risk. The question is, will you submit to the herd, or will you rise above it and embrace the challenge of becoming your own Übermensch? Living as the Übermensch means creating your own values, taking responsibility for your own actions, and rejecting the cultural narratives that dictate what is good or acceptable. It's about becoming an active creator of your own life, not a passive follower of external rules. Nietzsche's challenge is radical: to become the creator of your own meaning, to embrace chaos as a source of creativity, and to live a life that is truly your own. The Übermensch is not just a figure of idealism. It's a model for how we can approach life, with courage, authenticity, and an unflinching commitment to self-overcoming. It's about rejecting weakness in all its forms and embracing the strength that comes from living according to your true will. But what does it really mean to reject weakness? Nietzsche's disdain for weakness is not merely a critique of physical frailty, it's a rejection of mental and emotional passivity. Weakness, in his view, is a mindset, an unwillingness to engage with life's challenges, a retreat into comfort and mediocrity. It's the refusal to take responsibility for one's own life, the decision to let external forces, whether societal expectations or personal fears, dictate your actions. To Nietzsche, weakness is something far more insidious than simple vulnerability. It is a willingness to conform, a surrender to the demands of the herd rather than striving for something greater. It's the fear of embracing chaos and uncertainty, a fear that keeps people trapped in a cycle of passivity and self-pity. And it's not just a trait of the oppressed or the marginalized, it's a trait that lives within each of us. It's the tendency to shy away from discomfort, to seek the path of least resistance, to choose safety over growth. Nietzsche saw this as one of the greatest tragedies of modern life. For Nietzsche, the greatest obstacle to human greatness is self-pity. The mindset of weakness is rooted in resentment. Resentment against the challenges of life, resentment against the individuals who overcome those challenges. It's easy to fall into this trap of self-pity, to blame external factors for one's struggles, to hold on to grudges and let them dictate your worldview. This victim mentality, Nietzsche argued, only perpetuates weakness, trapping people in a cycle of defeatism and stifling their potential. But Nietzsche did not view this as an excuse for failure. Instead, he saw it as a call to action. In the face of adversity, instead of retreating into weakness, we should embrace the discomfort, learn from it, and grow. The challenges we face, whether they're external obstacles or internal fears, are opportunities for strengthening our character. Nietzsche's famous phrase, "What does not kill me makes me stronger," is not a call for passive endurance. It's an invitation to see every struggle as an opportunity for self-overcoming. And yet, this is the most difficult part of Nietzsche's philosophy: to confront the abyss, the void of meaning and the chaos of life, and still choose to engage. To reject weakness is to choose to face life head-on, without resorting to the crutches of comfort, conformity, or external validation. It's to stop seeking excuses and start seeking strength in the very things that others avoid. But how do we do this? Nietzsche's answer is simple, but profound. Take responsibility. Reject the victim mentality and accept that you are the creator of your own life. You are responsible for your choices, your actions, and your responses to the challenges you face. The moment you take ownership of your life is the moment you begin to transcend weakness and start on the path to becoming the Übermensch. This doesn't mean ignoring the realities of the world around us, the societal pressures, the systemic injustices, the inevitable suffering of life. Nietzsche's challenge isn't to deny these realities, but to refuse to let them define you. It's about embracing the power of choice, the freedom to create meaning even in the face of life's uncertainties. Reject weakness by refusing to let the world dictate who you are, by choosing to shape your own destiny. When you reject weakness, you open the door to a life of empowerment. It's not about being invincible, it's about embracing the struggle. The path to greatness is not about avoiding difficulty, but about facing it head-on with the strength of will to overcome, adapt, and create something meaningful in a world that often feels like it has none to offer. This is the essence of Nietzsche's call to action. Reject weakness, embrace strength, and live life with purpose and courage. At the heart of Nietzsche's philosophy is a radical vision of individuality. The Übermensch, the Overman, represents the ultimate embodiment of this ideal. This figure is not bound by conventional morality, nor is he swayed by the herd mentality that dominates society. He creates his own values, forges his own path, and lives life on his own terms, free from the dictates of religion, tradition, or societal expectations. But why is this figure so rare, and why is it so hard for most of us to become like him? Nietzsche believed that the forces of conformity in modern society stifle individuality at every turn. We are conditioned to follow rules, to adhere to norms, to prioritize security over risk, stability over growth, and comfort over freedom. Society, in its structure, demands that we fit in, often at the cost of personal expression. This conformity, Nietzsche argued, is what perpetuates weakness. People follow rather than create. They adapt rather than overcome. This isn't just about societal norms, either. It's about how we internalize those expectations. It's about the pressure to avoid standing out, to suppress our unique strengths and desires, simply to avoid conflict or discomfort. But Nietzsche didn't see these pressures as something to simply rebel against. They weren't an obstacle in the traditional sense. They were a call to arms, a challenge to individuals to rise above. For Nietzsche, the true rebel is the one who questions the foundations of the world around him and says, "I will not follow these rules just because everyone else does. I will create my own." And this is the crux of the Übermensch: to create new values, to redefine what it means to live a meaningful life in a world that offers none inherently. This doesn't mean rejecting society outright or living in isolation. It means using the external world to express your own authenticity rather than simply reacting to it. Nietzsche's philosophy challenges us to consider whether we are living in a way that is truly ourselves or whether we are simply living according to someone else's script. It's a call to ask, am I living my life for me, or am I living it to fit into a mold created by others? But here's where it gets difficult. To live as the Übermensch requires immense courage, and it's not a path for the faint of heart. Nietzsche understood that the journey to authenticity is fraught with risks. You will be lonely at times. You will face criticism. You will experience moments of doubt and fear. The temptation to conform, to retreat into comfort, will always be present. But Nietzsche's challenge is clear. Will you take the risk? Will you dare to forge your own identity, to live according to your own values rather than those imposed on you by the world? To become the Übermensch, you must embrace the discomfort of being different, of standing alone if necessary, of challenging the norms that govern society. And it starts with self-awareness, a deep understanding of who you are, what you truly want, and what you are willing to sacrifice for it. It also requires a commitment to self-overcoming, the continuous process of pushing beyond your limitations and striving to become greater than you were yesterday. Nietzsche's Übermensch is not a perfect being. It is a human figure, deeply aware of his imperfections, flaws, and weaknesses, but also unafraid of them. He does not seek to escape his struggles. He embraces them. He finds strength not in avoiding difficulty but in confronting it, using it as fuel for his personal growth. His greatness comes not from being free of problems but from the way he confronts them. So, the question Nietzsche poses to us is this: are we ready to embrace the challenge of becoming the Übermensch? Are we ready to face the discomfort of individuality, to rise above the herd, and to create our own values in a world that often seems to prefer conformity? It's not a question with an easy answer, but that's exactly why Nietzsche's philosophy is so powerful. It demands a radical rethinking of how we approach life, identity, and meaning. In the next phase, we'll take a deeper dive into how this concept of the Übermensch plays out in the context of modern life, especially in our digital age, where the pressures to conform are more intense than ever before. How do we resist the herd mentality in a world that rewards conformity and punishes individuality? And how can we begin to embrace Nietzsche's idea of strength, authenticity, and self-creation, even in the face of overwhelming societal forces? Stay with us as we explore the powerful tools Nietzsche provides to reclaim your individuality and overcome the forces that keep you from becoming your greatest self. As we come to the culmination of Nietzsche's philosophy, we must confront the most profound and challenging idea of all: eternal recurrence. This is Nietzsche's thought experiment, a concept that asks us to consider the possibility that we must live our lives over and over, exactly the same way, for all eternity. Every choice, every action, every moment, repeated endlessly. It's a terrifying thought for many, but for Nietzsche, it's the ultimate test of how we live. The question that eternal recurrence forces us to ask is, if I had to live this life again and again, would I be proud of it? Would I be satisfied with the choices I've made, the paths I've taken, the way I've responded to my challenges and failures? Eternal recurrence is not merely a theoretical idea, it's a call to action. It's an invitation to live with intentionality, to create meaning in every moment, because every choice we make may, in a sense, be repeated forever. This is where Nietzsche's rejection of weakness becomes most powerful. To live in accordance with the principle of eternal recurrence is to embrace life in its entirety. Its pain, its joy, its uncertainty, and its chaos. It's to affirm life, not despite its difficulties but because of them. It is a radical acceptance that life will not be perfect, that we will face suffering, hardship, and failure, but that these experiences are what give life its meaning. Nietzsche's ultimate challenge, then, is to ask us to live as if we would be willing to relive our life forever. Can you look at your life right now and say that you are proud of it? Are you living authentically? Are you striving to become your best self, to embrace the discomfort of growth and self-overcoming, to face the abyss of existence with strength and courage? Or are you avoiding discomfort, hiding in mediocrity, or letting life pass you by without fully engaging with its challenges? Eternal recurrence isn't about living in fear of regret or being haunted by the past. It's about using the knowledge that life is finite, and that our time is precious, as motivation to make each moment count. It's about taking ownership of our choices and shaping our lives according to our deepest values, without compromise. Nietzsche believed that to truly live is to live boldly, to make choices that reflect who we truly are, not who society expects us to be. In the context of our modern world, eternal recurrence is especially relevant. We live in a time where distractions are endless, where conformity is often rewarded, and where it's easy to fall into the trap of living on autopilot, floating through life without truly engaging with our deepest desires and ambitions. Nietzsche's philosophy is a call to wake up from this slumber, to start living consciously, with full awareness of the power we have to shape our own existence. The final revelation Nietzsche offers is this: we have the power to transcend weakness, to create a life that reflects our true selves, and to face the abyss of existence not with fear, but with strength. We are not destined to live in mediocrity or submit to the dictates of the herd. We can and must rise above. The Übermensch, the ideal human being, is not a distant fantasy. He is within all of us, waiting to be awakened, waiting to embrace the chaos of life and create something extraordinary from it. The choice is yours. Will you succumb to weakness and passivity, letting life happen to you? Or will you take responsibility for your existence, create your own values, and live in such a way that, if you had to relive your life over and over again, you would do so with pride? Nietzsche challenges you to become the creator of your own life, the artist of your own destiny. And so, as we close, reflect on this. The journey Nietzsche offers us is not an easy one. It demands courage, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to self-overcoming. It demands that we confront the abyss, that we embrace the chaos of existence, and that we create meaning in a world that offers none. But in doing so, we open ourselves up to a life of true freedom, authenticity, and purpose. So, I leave you with this final question. Are you ready to live a life worth repeating for all eternity? The path to greatness, to strength, to the Übermensch, is there for you to take. The choice is yours. Here are 5 AI picture generation prompts for each section. These prompts are designed to visually capture the themes and core ideas of each section.